What's up, Hamza here from BrosBuild. Today we're going to be reviewing the Millennium Falcon, set 75257. It includes 1,351 pieces, and at the time of release in 2019, it cost $160. The minifigures are Lando Calrissian, Chewbacca, C-3PO, Finn, Boolio, R2-D2, and Dio. Let's dive into the review. Our first figure is Lando Calrissian, but because this is based off of the latest movie, he's a lot older than he was in the original trilogy movies. So he does have some sort of a weapon and a cane. So he has a really nice cape that's double-sided, black on one side and blue on the other. So he has some pretty nice printing, and on the back he has very simple back printing and an alternate face expression. He's a lot more serious in this expression. So let's take a look at the next figure. No Millennium Falcon is complete without a Chewbacca. He's in every single Millennium Falcon except for a couple of the microfighter ones. So he has a really cool weapon, which is kind of like a stud shooter bowcaster. So all you do is push on this gray piece and the stud will fire out. So, we all know how Chewbacca's work. So his head is also his body. So overall, a really good figure. And if this Millennium Falcon didn't have a Chewbacca, it would not be as good. Next up is C-3PO. So this is the best C-3PO at the time. He looks really cool. It would have been really nice if we could get a red-eyed C-3PO. So I think we did see this C-3PO in a few other sets. So not a highlight of this set, but a really nice figure to get. Here we have Finn. So he's in, I think, only 2 sets. This set and the Sith tie from January 2020. So he has a gunmetal gray blaster and some sort of a messenger bag. He also has really detailed printing and really good leg printing. So he does have an alternate face expression, which looks a lot more scared. So this is a really awesome figure to have in this set, and let's see the next one. Here we have Boolio. So by looking at him, you can automatically guess that he's a very goofy character. At least that's what Lego made him look like. So he does have these rubbery horns, which are good, so they aren't gonna snap off, and they're also they don't have that much give to them. So he has some very cool back printing. And let's take a look at the next figure. So here we have R2-D2. So R2-D2 hasn't really changed too much over the years. He still doesn't have that third leg, which would be really cool to see. And he doesn't really have any back printing except for that dome piece. Now, one thing I've noticed is that the blue stripe on the dome is really high here, but really low here. So that's kind of interesting. So let's take a look at our final figure. Dio is a pretty small droid. So let me give you a size comparison. So if we take Finn and compare him to Dio, you can see that there's a huge size difference. I think this is the smallest droid that Lego has made so far. Maybe not, but at least I think this is the smallest one. So he has pretty nice printing. So each side has different printing. And he does have a stud at the back. So maybe if you want to attach something, then you can. And he also has a stud on the bottom. You can attach it to anything you want. So let's take a look at the Millennium Falcon. The one really great thing about this Millennium Falcon is that they finally changed the panel design. So the old ones, except for the original one, had these size panels, and there were basically 10, 12 of them around the whole set, and that created a lot of gaps. But it's actually really interesting what they did here. So they actually fixed that problem for the most part by making the panels larger and having these hinge pieces with a few inverted tiles. So that's really cool. So I'm really glad that they finally changed those panels But it's kind of surprising that it took them that long to fix that. But then again, maybe it really did take them that long. The second main change is that they made these triangle-shaped builds a lot thicker than they had on Falcons in the past. So that actually makes it flow very nicely. And there's also just a lot of detail that goes into this. And it's really great that they did actually change this Falcon for the better. Making our way to the back, you can see that there's clear blue tiles against some white pieces. And there's also a couple of these bendy pieces that are supposed to represent like the rail guard. The engine looks super, it really does. It looks incredibly good. By far the best engine look. It might even look better than the UCS Millennium Falcon engine just because it looks so good. It really, really does. So if we make our way back to the front, where our final feature is on the exterior is the spring-loaded shooters. So we all know how those work. In this case, all you do is put your finger in the circular area, push off, and there it goes. So if we make our way to the radar dish, you can see that it's a lot stronger than any of the other ones. You can play around with it and it shouldn't break off or anything like that. Now up top here, there's a place where you can put a minifigure in. So when you open it up, there's a little sled you take out, and then you can put a couple of minifigures. So if we grab Finn, so then you just put Finn in, and then you slide him in the Falcon. And there is another seat if you want to put in another minifigure, but I won't. So we close it back up. So one cool thing that they did is that they used ski poles instead of the other pieces that they used for the older ones. So that's kind of cool. Then making our way to the cockpit, all you do to get in is just pull it off, pretty simple. And then there's a couple of stickers, and there's just one sticker. This is a print. So there's also a joystick and a few seats to put in a couple minifigures. Before I put the minifigures in, something to tell you is that they did change this part of the set. I'll tell you more about that in the instructions. So kind of interesting that they put it in, but let's put the minifigures in and check out the rest of the set. So with our minifigures in, you can see I put Chewbacca and C-3PO in. There's also a little clip at the back, or not a clip, a little plate to put in Dio. So that's cool. This set is incredible. It really is. Even though it's a little tight, it really, really is an incredible set. So all you do to put the cockpit back on is literally just slide it on. It's a pretty tight cockpit, but that's fine because you're not really supposed to fit all the minifigures in, and it's not supposed to be a very huge cockpit like the UCS Falcon. So no real complaints about that. So if we make our way to the bottom of the set, we can see that it's pretty messy, but that's fine because nobody's going to be looking at the bottom. And there's that gun I was talking about. So there's actually a lot of technique that goes into the set that makes it a strong set, not like a flimsy set to pick up. Now, one thing about these landing gears is that if we put it back up, and then let's say you give it a little push, it tips, and that's pretty annoying. That's not ideal on a Falcon because you're usually gonna want to play with this set. All you do to open up the Falcon is literally pull on the 5 panels. So that's really easy because Lego did change the panel design, which is great. So with all the panels opened up, you can see the interior. Now, the one real problem about this interior is this hyperdrive. It's really lacking. Lego could have easily made it bigger and just maybe doubling it up or something like that. So anyways, if we make our way to the chair, you can see that the chair is very bulky, and I actually really like this chair. I'm really glad that they didn't just put a regular Lego chair on that spinning piece and call it done, because this is really good, this chair. It has quite a bit of detail that a lot of people might not care about, but I think it's a really cool chair. Now this chair is actually used for someone to like pilot these controls. I don't know what they do, but like I said before, there are a lot of stickers here, which isn't that great because I don't really like stickers on Lego sets too much. So if we make our way here, we'll see that there's the hollow chest, and there's also a few seats. So these are stickers, and that's not that great. So the one little thing is that this is one of those swivelly pieces. It's not a huge deal, but it might be a little tricky if you want to put a minifigure there. So moving our way all the way here, you can see that there's a little crate where you can put a couple weapons. And before I show you the kitchen, I probably should show you this loading ramp. So you push down on it, and then you can not put a minifigure up. So that's pretty much impossible to put a minifigure up. You can easily have a minifigure walk down, but it's near impossible to have a minifigure walk up. It's very hard to even capture that on the camera. See, look, that it'd be nice if they could maybe elevate the landing gear, but it's not a UCS one. It doesn't really matter. So over here at the kitchen, I actually kind of like the kitchen. It's kind of cool. So that's kind of like the oven, and that's kind of like the stove, and then there's some sort of a table. So that's cool. And then over here, there's a little place where you can actually put a minifigure or a couple weapons. And that's nice because it's the Millennium Falcon. So there's the hyperdrive I was talking about. It's pretty boring. And there's also a couple of beds that have a nice design to them. And you can make some characters get some rest. So over here, there's actually a ladder. So you can pretend that they're climbing up to man the guns, and there's a couple other pieces, and there's also a wrench. You can have any of the figures work on the hyperdrive or anything you want. So I actually really love this set. It is really cool. There's a couple of these red and tan pieces around the set. I don't really care about that too much. I think it's actually a really great set. By far the best Millennium Falcon that Lego has made. Now, I think I'm going to show you the box now. One more thing I almost forgot to tell is that if you want to pick up the set, you can very easily pick it up like this and swoosh it around. It's very swooshable. So that's how you pick it up, and let's take a look at the box. So here's the box. It did get a little damaged because of shipping, but the art itself looks really, really good. It does seem the Millennium Falcon is in some sort of epic space battle. A couple of TIEs are chasing it. Some general info about the set. I really like that they have this yellow line to kind of separate the art with the regular black greebling. Down here you'll find all the minifigures of the set and the Disney logo. So if we turn to the side, we'll see that there's the Millennium Falcon. The same thing at the front of the box, just on the side. The back of the box shows off all the features of the set, and it does appear that they're on some sort of a jungle planet. So that's all for the box, and let's take a look at the instructions. So the Millennium Falcon instructions look like this. Looks like the Millennium Falcon blew something up, a barcode to access the instructions online, Kylo Ren in the corner. Then we take a look at the pages. So we just see some stuff, what all the bags filled, the mini Frankie. Wait, what's this doing here? Here's the real deal. Millennium Falcon, barcode, Kylo Ren art. So we turn to the pages. Ah, the real Millennium Falcon instructions. Yep, that's the real one. So, pretty regular instructions. However, the one thing is, I think it was step 179. So, on step 179, I talked about this earlier in the review, that they actually changed it. So when the set was first released, they had changed this part of the build. So they had changed it slightly. That's the only real special thing about the instructions. So just, it was actually a pretty enjoyable build. Not like a super enjoyable build. It was just fun putting everything together. So how many pages are they? So there are 260 pages. It shows off some of the other sets from the time. The Skywalker Saga game. The piece count. So, that's it for the instructions. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you on our next review.